The Wellness Show, Episode 12.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So welcome to the Wellness Show, and I'm excited today to have on the call Kim Kanucha. Did I get that right?
Close, Kwasnecha.
Kanucha. And is that Polish or what is that?
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian, okay. So the topic for today is the shaman's journey. So what's that?
For me, it's essentially about taking a look and figuring out who you are and what you represent.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting. So how do you do that?
For me, a lot of it was just kind of taking a look at patterns I had in life and in emotional patterns and relationship patterns, and in looking at how I was affected by the world around me, how I could affect the world around me, and going and taking a look on the inside and what made my heart happy and what made my heart sing.
So you're really not just talking about an outer journey, you're talking about an inner journey as well then.
Yeah, absolutely more of an inner journey than an outer journey.
Yeah, but
the inner journey allowed me to see where the outer journey goes.
All right. Okay. So I know you're about to do a big outer journey. So how did you get to this desire to do this outer journey? You're saying that, if I understood you correctly, it started with a sort of inner questioning about who you are and why you're here and where you want to go. And then that led you to do what?
For a long, long time, I've always wanted to go and travel down to Peru. Something about the culture, something about the land, I don't know, just one of those places that you feel drawn to, right? And for a long time, I never did it. I spent more time just trying to find the inner balance inside first, and really kind of waited for that opportunity to really present itself. The last couple of years was more of the inner journey. Just this past October, I went down for a 10-day journey and really connected with the place, the culture, just the energy there in itself, and have decided to go spend some more time there to do some learning.
Wow. So when you say learning, you're not just saying
a lot of that
learning, are you? I mean, when you say learning,
say again?
When you say learning, it's not the average learning. You're not going to go language learning or something like that. It's a little deeper than that, isn't it?
Well, some of it, yeah, because I don't know. My Spanish isn't very good at the moment. So
language learning plus, right?
Yeah, just more so learning about working with the nature energy and the mountains and Pachamama, as they call Mother Earth down there. Those are things that really resonate for me as a person on my soul journey. I've always connected with nature a lot and with the trees, and there's a piece there that it feels more like a home for me at the moment, and it really makes my heart kind of sing. So it's I'm taking that next step in the faith department for myself on my own journey, and just gonna go down and see what's there that presents itself for me to learn and to do. And the learning may come in many different fashions, usually does.
Right. Yeah, the best laid plans of mice and men. Well, you and I met on a shaman's journey, on a sacred journey, and we were in Mexico together, discovering ourselves and the sacred path of the Mayan. And I know that those are special times for me. to discover that inner solitude, that connection to source, that connection to ancient cultures, a transformation. And I know that we shared those experiences at least once, and I know you've done many of those. And now you're following your passion, which is like sounds like a lifetime passion to go to be in the Andes. But you also met like you worked with a shaman when we worked together in Mexico, but you now are working with another shaman, right? When you go down, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So who is this shaman?
Yeah. This is a gentleman by the name of Puma, a very heart-centered man. He's been, learning the old ways and the culture from his grandfather, right when he was a kid, starting at like 6. So there's a lot of wisdom there in the knowledge of, as in Mexico and the Mayan, the culture of that which resides in learning, because they're all, for me, interlinked.
Yeah, you're breaking up there a bit. So let me see if I recap that. What you're saying is that methodology, that knowingness that comes from the sacred journey that is within Indigenous people, that there's such a strong similarity towards the Andean culture and the Mayan culture, that there was some technology, a transformation, some way of inner knowing, of being connected to nature, into the cosmos, that they were able to discover a body of information that we're only really now rediscovering. Is that part of it? Is that part of the quest, is reconnecting with that?
In some ways, yeah, and it goes even beyond that in not necessarily the Mayan and the the Incans being similar, but it goes bigger than that, in that all tradition, whether it be the Native Americans up here in Canada and the US, to the Mayans in Mexico, to the Peruvians, to anywhere in the world, essentially, that it's all goes down to an inner journey.
Yeah, the wisdom of the earth. So I know that you are really gifted in that area, and we've done some work together about embodying your connection to your earth, that many people that you've discovered and the work you've done are really not in their bodies, that there's something about us modern people that being in our bodies is somehow difficult for us, that maybe we're so in our heads or whatever it is. So tell me a little bit about that work that you are called to do, helping people really get back in their bodies.
Well, for me, it's essentially a lot of people kind of will work out of their minds. We kind of grew up learning how to live that way, so we don't really necessarily know another way yet. And it's really about finding the balance between being in your mind and listening to your physical body, because we are here on this earth and we have a physical body, and it's about learning to listen to the wisdom of both the body and our mind, in allowing that energy to flow freely together as opposed to just by one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you have a great love of crystal, the crystal kingdom, and I know that you use that. I can see right behind you one of your fellow orb friends there sitting. So I know that you use that as a touchstone to help you make that connection as well. So you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, it's all things from the earth, whether they be trees or crystals, plants, flowers, smells, they all can be used as tools. Having that fairy energy around, I really like the crystals. They can add such a helping environment to both just your home, to walking around in your everyday life. to be used as tools as they're meant to be. They're part of the earth. They're part of here to help us. They have a lot of wisdom with them. And it's just sitting and being with them as you would sit and be with the trees or sit and be with the angels. Same type of representation for me in the crystals.
Yeah, so when you sit with your crystal, and I watched you do that, you sit on the couch in a lotus position, nestle that crystal up against your belly. So give us a bit of insight about what are you doing? Are you focusing in on the crystal as a conduit to a place inside of yourself, or you listening to the whisper of the crystal, or are you using it as a channeling agent? All the above, none of the above. I'm just curious because different people use crystals in different ways, and I think having people have the possibility of how to approach crystals in a new way might be very valuable for them.
All of the above and much more. Sometimes I'll just sit with the crystal and listen to the wisdom of what that crystal and that energy has to offer. Sometimes I'll sit with like a rose quartz ball and just hold that essence of what that represents as unconditional love and just be with that with myself in times when I need some extra healing. I've used them just as grounding tools and teaching tools to help with kids connect into their own energy. They like the colors, right, and the shiny things. Sometimes they don't understand what they're doing with them, but they always will get the benefit, and they will usually know on some level how it helps them. They just may not be able to express it as we've traditionally learned how to express in our culture.
Yeah, I love that part of you, and that's the part that really gets me thinking is that you've worked with I don't even know the terminology which politically correct anymore, but challenged children or special needs or rainbow children or indigo children or ADD or whatever the alphabet soup that you label these kids with.
All of the above.
all of the above. I know that you have this special connection to them, and you just talked about how the crystal can allow them to communicate in ways that they otherwise couldn't. But that's sort of the same for all of us humans, is that we've only really activated certain bandwidths that we feel comfortable with and will allow ourselves to play in. What you're telling me is that crystal allows different levels of knowingness or beingness to be able to flow through you. And for some of these kids, it's one of the conduits that the channel that they're on that disallows them from communicating with other people unless they're on the same channel. I think that's sort of, I'm trying to find words to discover what you've discovered by working with these kids, that they have their own language, their own way of being in the world, their own touching and feeling and beingness. Is that correct?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. They come into this world with having more awareness of the different senses that we do have. Like, we don't have just the 5. There's so many more levels of senses that we have, that they come into this world that are already awake, and the crystals can help them to regulate and to balance those senses without needing traditional words to do it with.
Yeah, and I imagine most of these kids, the reason they get so high-strung and everything is they're running so much energy, they don't quite know what to do with it. So, it's too much energy to embody. So having a big, huge crystal like the one you have behind sitting in their lap, it allows just the sheer weight of the crystal to ground them and to take that energy and move it into the earth and ground them out so they can be more comfortable in their body. I would think a lot of them are overwhelmed, just like, whoa, way too much information.
Yeah, that's very essentially what it's all about.
Yeah, I know. For me, I'm, whoa, way too much information too. And I have a ball that from you that about the same size of that, which is a rose quartz. And I know when I sit with it, I'm just amazed by the sheer weight of that it has, but also just its beingness. Like it's so present because of its weight and its beauty that you can't ignore. I mean, it is definitely in your auric field and doing something for you. So I thank you for that, allowing me to have this huge crystal in my life, which now really is the heart chakra of our little light station here where I live, and broadcasts out 24/7, 365. She's the center jewel of the throne, so to speak, in the broadcast. So, yeah. And also, just for those people out there that are listening, we do have some of our other babies, smaller versions of her spheres that we do have that she wants to part with in order to have more money, more jingle in her jeans to do this sacred journey that she's on. So if you feel called to have one of hers that she's sat with for hours and tuned with and been guided by, I think there's actually maybe 5 or maybe even 6 small crystal balls of hers that are available. So anyway, I just put that out there. If you're interested, get hold of me and we'll see what we can arrange so you can make these babies. So when you go down, you're going to start off your journey by staying with this shaman. Is that correct? Is that what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, he's graciously going to allow me to stay with him and his family and help me figure out, how to get about and find my way there.
Wow. And so after that, you have no idea what that means, right? You just show up and be you.
Just showing up.
Wow. So for Joe and Martha Average out there, they're saying, well, it's all well and good for her. She can pack up her suitcase and leave. Well, what about for me? I'm here. And what does this have to be? How do I start my secret journey? Is this something that I could do, or is this just something that other people do?
And of course, essentially it started with me just as any other would start, and just bringing more of the passion into my life and learning what loving myself really means, bringing back that the things that brought me joy in this life. Started out, remembering I used to love coloring when I was a kid, so taking 10 minutes out of my day to do a little coloring, starting out that and bringing those pieces that made my heart feel that joy into my everyday life.
So allowing the inner child to come out and play, and that it's okay, and that it doesn't need to shut up and be still and go play in the corner or shut the door or don't bother mommy and daddy, or all those stories that we've heard, that you can just let all that come out in its naked truth and run around and have fun.
Exactly. It's the inner child without the terrible twos, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Without the terrible twos. I think some of us just got stuck in the terrible twos. I know sometimes I just feel like hey, look at me. It's my way or the highway. Hey, it's all about me. It's all about me. I think a lot of
exactly, right. And it's about finding that balance. That's that balance between the mental and the doing it all from our brain to finding that connection into the body and the part that made our bodies feel that joy and that love and that freedom as kids that we had.
Right. So what do you do for people that are caught in this endless, huge brain fart, right, that dominates and overwhelms their lives and makes them feel like they have to do and poo everywhere and make a big mess, and they don't get it right, and they're going to be criticized, and you only succeed by hard work, and oh my God, just by talking about it, I'm exhausted. So how do you help those people sort of get out of their head and get in their body or get in their heart?
For each person, it looks like a different way. Essentially, it's about one, getting the body to relax. Because with doing that, you start to become present with your body. Becoming present with your body will help that mind chatter, as I call it. That's what I called it for me. It's still there, just more in balance. It brings it into balance without the effort. It's not as hard as it seems. Sometimes it's as simple as a visualization, like turning on the taps in your knees and allowing the energy to flow again. Sometimes it's just about becoming aware that you're having that chatter and going, oh, and just taking that minute to stop and breathe again. And sometimes that helps quiet the chatter. Different strategies work for different people.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you said you'll turn the tap on your knees. It sounds to me like you're describing that sometimes our energy gets locked up in our body and some of the muscles or in some of the meridians. And what you're saying is, why don't you go in there and I can help you with a guided meditation to allow yourself to have permission to go in and talk to your body and turn the tap on or ground the energy out or put it through your feet or to do whatever you're called to do to move that energy out of your body so that you're not so stressed out to the max. So those are the sorts of things that you're teaching people, are all these sorts of different techniques?
Yeah, essentially it's about using our brains and our minds and the way that we have that chatter in a positive fashion, which is it's helping it to become aware of our physical body, because we are here and we do have a physical body. So it's about helping the power that our mind has to connect into our physical body and allow that to flow and not get attached so much to our stories, because our stories are our teachers, but we need to be able to observe it as opposed to be right in it.
Or be addicted to it, I guess, yeah.
And
We love our stories.
yeah, exactly, right? And the body will help us to find that, as it's described for me, the flow of energy again.
So we're giggling here because we've been connected and disconnected as we do this show, which is really the story of the human dilemma, is that we're always disconnecting from our true nature and from our own inner story, which is the sacred journey or the hero's journey. So I think it's quite fitting, we're coming in and coming out and we get to have the same conversation over again about, okay, how do we do this? How do we get into our body? How do we help people, be more at home in their body? Is it that we need to do more crayoning, coloring, and we don't have to stay within the lines? We can use purple for sunsets. I mean, I can remember my fingers wrapped that, sky is not purple. But in my world it was. I remember it being purple when the sun went down. So how could it not be purple? So I remember being told you're wrong, rotten, or you're wrong and rotten and wrong because you didn't use the right color and you have to stay within the lines. So yeah, so discovering our beauty as our childhood nature, that had no problem just being in a body and having fun. As an adult, this is a big one. So we were talking about that. One of the ones is to breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Certainly when this connection keeps coming and going in this call, we have to learn how to breathe and not get frustrated. So what other sorts of things do you encourage people to do? You talked about walking. You talked about, anyway, over to you.
Yeah, getting out in nature, walking again, sometimes just sitting and being and being with the muscles and being with your emotions, all that. A lot of the time why we don't like being in our body is because it doesn't feel very comfortable. And in order for it to get comfortable, we need to learn to allow our emotions just to flow, because our emotions come out of our mind, out of our brain, under that powerful, wonderful thing that we all have. And it's a beautiful thing in us, right? We just need to learn to find the balance with it and connecting into our body and learning to allow those emotions to flow and to feel is the key to what it's about. And how that looks for different people will be different depending on, how active they are, what their lifestyle is, what they've got going on. It looks different for different people, but essentially that's what it's about, is getting those emotions to be in motion.
Wow, that was beautifully put. And, I'm afraid that we may get disconnected again. So I'm going to wrap it up here because that's such a beautiful way to end this call. So now you're traveling. I mean, I would love to stay in touch with you. I want to know where you are and what you're doing. Are you going to provide that through a Facebook page or some way that people can track where you are and have a conversation with you? I guess, and if not,
Um, yeah, I do have a Facebook page. I'm just in process of getting my website set up where a lot of the journey will come through the website, which is called Earth Journey.
is that a
.com
or a .ca?
.ca,
Okay.
earthjourney.ca.
Great. So that's how everybody.
And then of course
Go ahead.
there'll be links to the Facebook page and all that through the website.
Great, wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you. It was a bit of a bumpy call, but sometimes life is bumpy. But thank you ever so much. I wish you all the best on your journeys. I'm looking forward to you sitting in my living room and telling me all about it, and also to follow you on your journey. It's in many ways I'll be right there with you. So it was great talking to you. And if you feel any desire to come back in the midst of your journeys in the middle of nowhere, then you can always use this link and we'll have a conversation from wherever you are on the planet about where you are in your journey. So all the best. Take care.
That sounds perfect. Thank you, Tyson.
All right, take care.
It's been great talking to you, and yeah, bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.